I can't believe Sensei Steve kicked us out of McDojo.
He didn't kick us out. He said we could stay in the mat room as long as we don't make a mess.
When have we ever been anywhere and not left behind chaos and destruction?
Exactly. And that's why we're back. Back in the bookstore. Or what's left of it.
This place isn't safe, guys. They can see us.
It's just too creepy. I mean, they look like us, but we're us. They can't be us if we're us, right? Is that legal?
It is possible for people to look like other people. There's only so much potential variation in human genetics. Everyone is bound to have a doppelganger or two out in the world.
Sure, but what are the odds that all of ours are together in the same place at the same time and at this very moment looking right at us?
I will admit that is very, very improbable, but it's not technically impossible.
Bah, to your statistics. This is all weird and unnatural, and you know it.
Yeah, it's almost like they're clones.
That's it. They're clones.
The attack of the clones.
That is not what I said.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I bet they were created by the High Council.
There's no way they could have created fully grown clones so quickly. We weren't on the run that long.
I'd wager this is a plan that was in the works for quite some time.
Perhaps they were only recently taken out of storage.
I bet they were stored somewhere nearby. Maybe right here in the mall.
You know what this whole crazy conspiracy theory reminds me of?
It had better be something we can conclave about.
Unfortunately, it is.
Does it involve clones?
Yes.
Oh, and secret conspiracies.
Yes. Unfortunately, it is.
Does it involve clones?
Yeah.
Oh, and secret conspiracies.
Yeah.
In space?
Yeah.
And unethical multinational corporations who value profit over humanity to the point of treating employees as disposable commodities?
Actually, yes.
Is it alien?
No. Within the depths of the mysterious Mall of Misery lies an abandoned bookshop, stripped and gutted by someone more concerned about an aesthetic instead of basic human needs. Ethan.
To surrender style is to embrace barbarism and use my title.
Whatever. Sinquisitor. Opposite a mysteriously rebuilt video store, now harboring unwholesome doppelgangers, the members of a secret society assemble to try to continue their work, condemning the perverse and heretical, even though the leaders of that society are trying to kill them for being very bad at their jobs, to scrutinize those films which are rumored to drive viewers to madness and disillusion. Draw closer, dear listener. Let your trembling ears sup upon the eldritch knowledge of the Cinemania Society.
We the fellows of the Lens Hall do convene to judge if this fine cinema worthy of our esteem, or whether it should cast down worthless hokum. Let us start our offensive judgment. We the fellows... Oh.
Welcome, miscreants and mendicants. Jeez. Ethan, what is up with this vocabulary?
You like to read?
I love fucking reading, but your aesthetic does not apply to my vocabulary. To this conclave of the Cinemania Society, please be seated. And welcome to our listeners, to whom I will now issue this warning. We disciples, by which I mean them, these other chuckleheads, of the Cinemania Society have studied the mysteries of the motion picture and meditated upon the silver screen for many years. Therefore, we've become inured to the films we scrutinize, which may contain hazards unsuitable to young and sensitive ears. That part's definitely true. As such, we advise anyone listening to do so with discretion. Guard your ears carefully, lest you develop a severe and irreversible case of cinemania. Present at our conclave tonight are...
Sinquisitor Ethan, Maven of the Montage.
Scrutinizer Zachariah, Guardian of the Door.
Profligator Daniel, Possessor of the Word.
Professor Andrea, Scholar of San Francisco.
And Verifier Andy, Master Illuminator.
Not present at tonight's conclave is Arbiter Alessa, a voice from the outer world, for having run clean out of fucks after coming down with a near-terminal case of meh.
Thoughts and prayers.
Which is actually the leading cause of death among Gen Z at the moment. I'm Auntie Hope, keeper of what's left of the books, and what's left of the booze. I will be serving as Pontifex of Presentment for tonight's subject of scrutiny, Moon, from 2009, directed by Duncan Jones. Verifier Andy shall act as master castigator for this conclave. Andy, present the charges.
Charges against the movie Moon include, but are not limited to, crediting the director as Duncan Jones instead of his childhood nickname Zowie Bowie, borrowing most of its visual aesthetic from the Alien franchise.
Ooh.
Failure to predict that Kevin Spacey was going to be cancelled in the near future. Voicing a robot with anyone other than Alan Tudyk.
Valid.
Reckless driving of a lunar rover. Conduct unbecoming an officer of the NSEA Protector. Blatant disregard for posted occupancy restrictions of a helium-3 transport. Exposing corporate wrongdoing without a license. Absence of starmen waiting in the sky. Inducing blood-vomiting space sickness without a chest burster.
Yeah, really.
Criminal underuse of Matt Berry. Criminal overuse of a Floby. Exceeding the maximum 1 clone per space station rule. Exceeding the maximum 1 Sam Rockwell per movie rule. Grand theft plot from Arnold Schwarzenegger's masterpiece, The Sixth Day.
What?
It was definitely a piece. I don't know about a masterpiece.
A piece of something.
And, last but not least, shortage of ass in a movie called Moon.
Are you kidding me? There is a full-ass shower scene.
I said shortage, not absence.
Dun dun dun.
Serious trigger warnings? Kevin Spacey, I guess.
Yeah.
There's more on the next page, Eddie.
One kind of steamy but not really graphic sex scene. Otherwise, I've got nothing. This movie is pretty tame by our standards.
Thank you, Andy. You may now proceed with the summary.
Where are we now? That's what we're asked as we open on a feel-good commercial for Lunar Industries Limited, which references a worldwide energy crisis that was apparently solved by the discovery and mining of helium-3 on the moon.
Hooray for exposition!
Cut to sweaty-ass Sam Rockwell on a treadmill. Fade to title sequence. Back to Moon, in case you forgot where this is set. A handy text scroll informs us that we're seeing mining base Sarang, presumably for this fabulous helium-3 we've heard so much about. And this base has a crew of 1 on a 3-year contract. We're treated to some fancy floating text credits, one of which informs us that Gertie is voiced by the as-yet uncancelled Kevin Spacey. Another informs us that this one-man crew is named Sam Bell. Sam heads out in a very non-futuristic spacesuit on a very non-futuristic rover to do some very mundane tasks, while his rover announces repeatedly that it is unsuccessful in its search for long-range comms.
I love when they give the actor his actual name as the character. It's just fantastic.
If we sent someone to the moon tomorrow, this is pretty much what their gear would look like. This movie wants us to know that we're in the future, but not too far into it.
He gets back and with a very Owen Wilson-esque cadence relays a message to headquarters to let them know that he's sending back a full shipment of H3. That's how the cool kids abbreviate helium-3. And also that he is bored beyond belief. He has that classic castaway look with the long hair and scraggly, unkempt beard. He's doing lots of normal, non-crazy activities, like yelling at his robo-assistant Gertie while stabbing the arm of his chair aimlessly. You know, the kind of stuff totally sane people do. Gertie is giving him a robot vacuum haircut so he can look nice while watching the latest pre-recorded message from his wife and daughter. Sam mentions the lack of long-range comms again. He's really hoping it gets fixed soon, since his contract is up in 2 weeks. And notice they're using the suck cut from Wayne's World. You remember that?
Sucking out my will to live.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on. We all remember the infomercials for the Floby.
This reminds me of that moment in Spaceballs when the character says, "Fuck, even in the future, nothing works."
Yeah, right.
Sam complains to Gertie about yet another headache. Then we see him tending to the few little hobbies that keep him almost sane. He waters his plants, who he talks to by name, then does a little whittling while putting together a model town he's presumably been working on for a while. Things have reached a pretty low point when the entertainment options are conversational gardening and scrimshaw. He makes himself some tea and hallucinates a young woman sitting in his armchair, which causes him to scald his hand with boiling water. While tending to the wound, Gertie casts doubt on Sam's assertion that he was just distracted by the TV, suggesting that maybe he's seeing things. While saying this, Gertie's monitor displays various big yellow emoji faces, because that's how we all communicate in the future. Gertie is like ChatGPT, but with even more unfortunate allegations.
Since he doesn't have a face, if he didn't have an emoji, how would you know how the machine was feeling?
Also, I
He's got a
noticed
big,
that.
giant arm, so maybe he could tell you his arm.
Also, you'll notice that every time his little emoji face changes, there's a very quiet ping noise. And every time I heard it, I kept changing my view to look at my phone because I thought I was getting a message or something. It's really distracting. When you notice it, you can't unsee it. Anyway, the next scene is Sam's alarm rudely awakening him from a sex dream about his wife. Then we see him barely surviving a run on the treadmill, followed by him enjoying some vacuum-packed astronaut foods. They're really trying to hammer home the point that we're in the near future. Everything here looks like it's going to be released by Amazon next year, just in time to earn Bezos bucks by running on your handy-dandy treadmill of despair. Sam goes back to his exercise routine, but has even more trouble breathing by the end of his workout. It's a good thing he's going home soon, because he's looking a little worse for wear. Still, it's better than working customer service with the general public.
That's the truth.
So I don't know whether that dream sequence was more funny or creepy for me when I realized that I have that same bra. Mine's just pink instead of white. But so I guess Betsy Johnson's still making really great bras in the future.
We have to assume that by this point they are shipped back to Earth from the mighty bra mines of Jupiter. From the looks of it, this whole operation is automated, except for Sam going out once in a while in his rover to collect full canisters of H3 from the giant mobile mining rigs, which they call harvesters on account of the harvesting they do, and ship them back to Earth.
Automation is great and all, but some things still just need that human touch.
No
singing!
During the next collection, Sam once again hallucinates a young woman. This time she's in the debris cloud coming from the harvester. This distracts him so much that he straight up crashes his rover into the side of the rig. The next thing we see is him waking up in the infirmary under Gertie's care. He looks pretty good for a guy who just almost died under a giant lunar mining rig.
This whole shtick is so corporate, even his hospital gown is branded. Getting serious alien vibes from this.
Cut to the corporate meeting room planning the mission. And just make sure you pack an entire crate of branded hospital wear. We have to think of anything he could need on his moon adventure.
Doesn't anyone else feel like we're wasting time talking about perfectly legitimate business practices on the moon when we should be talking about the real issue here? The evil duplicates of us lurking mere hundreds of inches away.
Yeah, we're getting to that. Look, the point is, maybe it's clones, right?
Fine. I suppose that makes as much sense as any other explanation we've tried out. So, first, we need to figure out where these clones came from. I mean, think about it. There might be more of them.
Right. We have to foil the High Council's plan before they can send another wave of clones at us.
Who said there's even a plan to foil? Maybe it's just one of those random things that just sort of happens for no reason. You know, like the rest of our lives.
Balls! There's plots to be foiled here, and you're spoiling my foiling.
Can't argue with that, I suppose. Well, let the brutal hunt and inevitable massacre begin.
Is this going to be another wild goose chase?
Have we ever chased any other kind of undomesticated waterfowl?
It was just the once, and what happens at sleepaway camp stays at sleepaway camp.
And there was that one mallard on Lake Geneva, but we don't discuss the mallard.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. It was just the twice.
If I were on the High Council, which I'm not, where would I hide a stash of clones? Which I haven't done. Because I'm not. I'm just saying, if I was, then where would I? If I did. I didn't, though.
If I were hiding anything in a mall, I'd put it in the service corridors.
The what now?
The service corridors, behind the businesses. They use them for deliveries, storage, employee entrances, and such.
Criminy! How does one access said secret corridors?
They're not secret. Look, my store's corridor access is right here, through this door over here, the one marked employees only, which is oddly the only door that you all have never gone through, even though you've ransacked every other part of the bookstore.
Because we're not your employees.
Yeah, you can't tell us what to do or not to do. You're not the boss of us.
Yeah, you're not our mom.
Sometimes it feels like it.
I just assumed it was a personal area.
Yeah, I thought it was the ladies' room.
Okay. I guess none of that really matters. We can go on in. The door isn't even locked.
Oh, this place is so delightfully liminal. Perfection itself. Why are we even bothering with the bookstore when we have this?
Ooh, does that mean you're going to rebuild my bookstore then and leave it the fuck
Moving right
alone?
along, get into the space, everyone. Let the liminality of the space leach your essence. Let yourself become banal.
This place is like a maze or some kind of labyrinth.
Where do you want to go? You can reach any part of this place through the service tunnels. It's pretty neat, huh?
Last I heard, Alessa was in the food court. Let's go look there.
Brilliant idea. Maybe she's found some evidence of the High Council's evil plot. Or evidence of a calzone with extra cheese. Maybe some of those little curly fries, too.
Or at least something a little bit healthy. Ever eaten anything green?
Does it count if it's delicious candy?
Absolutely not.
I think the food court's this way.
Hello! I found the biscuit tin. There are only a few digestives and a half sleeve of ginger nuts, but it should suffice. Hello! Oh, alone again. Oh well, time to practice the forbidden arts. There's a place in France where the naked ladies dance. La, 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 la.
What are these places? I don't recognize any of these businesses.
Batteries, batteries, batteries for a AA good day.
How shocking.
There's Mosaics, the tiling company. Mosaics, the chiropractor. Snakes, the exotic pet store. Moussacs, the purse company specializing in purses made from bull scrotums.
Consolidated flanges for all your flanging needs. Oh, that reminds me. I need to check my flanges. They just don't flange the way they used to.
Not touching that one.
Ooh, non-specific tiny cosmic conquest figurines for the non-specific cosmic conquest figurine dice-based wargame system of your choice. No way they're getting sued.
Most just aren't what they used to be. I think we need Alessa here to help us.
Oh, Bath, Body, and Beyond. I recognize this one.
Be careful.
It's just a houseware store. What's the problem?
Ooh, what's this?
What the fuck was that? It got Daniel!
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. They got multiple doors back here, and I'm pretty sure that's the one that goes into the Beyond section. I think it's like a wormhole or something. I don't know. Somebody got sucked in there the other day, but I'm pretty sure the other end just spits them out somewhere else in the mall. At least, that's what the janitor told me.
I'm pretty sure that defies the laws of physics.
So does the very existence of our clones and all the other clones that we must find immediately. Onward!
Onward!
Gertie tells Sam he hasn't been asleep very long, but that he should stay in the infirmary for a few days and rest and have some tests. He's looking much more clean-shaven than before, and oddly uninjured for someone who was just in a major accident. Sam wakes up a bit later, and when Gertie doesn't answer, he decides maybe he should go for a walk. His legs are weirdly weak, but he still manages to get down the corridor where he overhears Gertie on a video call. The men on the other end of the call accuse Gertie of losing not only equipment, but also an employee, all in one day. Gertie notices Sam and quickly ends the call, telling Sam he was just recording an update on his progress to send back to Central, since, as you know, the long-range comms are still down, so there's no live feed. And as we all know, when an all-powerful AI is controlling every aspect of your environment, it's a super good situation and you shouldn't worry about it. Sim is very sensitive to light, can barely stand, and is obviously weak, so he doesn't question Gertie further. He hobbles back to bed while demanding his sunglasses.
The two men from Central that you just barely see in the shadows in the background are Benedict Wong, who you probably know from a lot of the Marvel movies, and Illuminator Andy's other doppelganger, Matt Berry.
He looks nothing like me!
But you look a lot like him.
Gertie claims Sam could have brain damage from the accident and keeps him in the infirmary doing cognitive testing. Sam is allowed to move around the base, but forbidden to go outside. He really wants to get back out there and fix the broken harvester. You know, the one he crashed into. But Gertie is insistent he is not allowed to leave the base. He follows orders to rest up, but this involves some creepy-ass dreams of a space-suited version of himself reaching out to him from under the bedsheets. We see a video message from the same two men who were talking to Gertie earlier, telling Sam he should stay in and focus on his healing. They will send a rescue crew out to fix the harvester. Sam doesn't like this, so he sabotages a bit of the base so that Gertie will have to allow him outside. Gertie has no choice but to let him out to check for damage to the exterior shell, but that's it, just to check. No need to go poking around or anything. Ominously, his main spacesuit is missing, as is one of the rovers. He takes the spares of each, and instead of just fixing the base, heads out to the broken harvester, where he finds the missing rover jammed halfway under it. Sam makes his way into the broken rover, where he finds the missing spacesuit, which contains a nearly frozen corpse of himself? He manages to keep functioning despite this mindfuck, and brings his half-dead doppelganger back to base. Sam frantically asks Gertie who this other guy is, to which Gertie repeatedly replies, Sam Bell. Really fucking helpful, Gertie.
Oh, Lord. If I found a doppelganger of myself, I don't think I could keep functioning. I would just have myself a nice little breakdown.
I don't know. I would be like, wow, yeah, that explains a lot.
I think we would immediately kiss.
That sounds about right.
Well, everything fades out, and then we see a repeat of the waking up in the infirmary scene from earlier, this time with a scruffy and injured Sam. He talks to Gertie while clean-shaven Sam stares at them suspiciously over his sunglasses from the corner of the room. Scruffy Sam notices him and asks Gertie if there is anyone else in the room.
Because he definitely thinks he might just be hallucinating that.
Yeah, because Gertie just tells him to go get some rest, and after sleeping it off a bit, Scruffy Sam, with the same burn on his hand from earlier, is up and trying to figure out if the other Sam is real or just a hallucination. For the sake of clarity, we'll call Scruffy Accident Recovery Guy Sam 1, and the clean-shaven guy who likes to wear sunglasses indoors, Sam 2. I thought that was weird, too.
I don't know if you've ever had a migraine or woken up from like a really bad injury or you're recovering from something. Sometimes you do need sunglasses for any kind of light.
And everything's just so freaking white in there, too, that cannot feel good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe waking up as a fresh clone is a lot like being hungover. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably. Well, Sam 1 starts roaming around the base, wondering if he's losing his mind, and Gertie's assertion that both men are in fact Sam Bell isn't doing much to help his sanity.
Why would it?
Right.
Thanks, Gertie. You're really fucking helpful lately.
So, Sam 2's in the gym, barely breaking a sweat, while he jumps rope and boxes with a speed bag. Sam 1, on the other hand, is not only losing his mind, he's also falling apart physically. He can't even walk without limping. Sam 1 asks how long he's been there, and Sam 2 replies about a week, and then accuses Sam 1 of being a clone. Sam 1 is so freaking lonely, he doesn't care how weird it is to be talking to himself, as long as he gets to talk to someone. Well, Sam 2 is icy and distant. They try to break the ice over ping pong, but it doesn't go well. Should have stuck to Scrimshaw. That must have been a fun scene to shoot.
Yeah, I was actually wondering how they did that one. I was thinking that they probably had them shoot each side differently and probably like animated the ball to go where it needs to, because that would make
Essentially,
sense.
yeah, they just had to very carefully plan every move he was making so they could shoot and double shoot and all this.
Sometimes they shoot with doubles and then they put the other person's image where the double was.
I was just
but getting it to coordinate with where the ball was for the ping pong shot, that's the more difficult part.
Yeah.
Getting the double and splitting the scene, that's been done for ages, but getting that ball in the right place.
Yeah.
It's so funny, isn't it? The people are not the issue. It's the ping pong ball that's so tricky.
We keep telling you, balls are tricky.
I'm a little worried about Daniel.
I'm sure he'll turn up soon. I mean, the other guy was only gone for a few hours. And he even came back with all of his fingers. And most of his teeth. I mean, and then all we need to do is establish the exact kind of curse and or supernatural vortex event he's been subject to, followed by a full-on grimoire session, followed by...
I said I was a little worried. Let's not go crazy.
Fair. He's survived worse fiascos than this.
Like that incident with the mallard. But we don't discuss the mallard. I'm just saying, though. Mallard.
Look at this!
What?
This large metal door. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I really know my doors. And that's the door to a clone storage area if I've ever seen one.
I think that's a walk-in refrigerator.
Yeah, we are right behind the food court.
That's just part of their clever plan. What better place to hide their fiendish refrigeration?
Do clones need to be refrigerated?
Only after opening. I think they're shelf-stable until you break the seal.
Get in, losers. We're going clone hunting.
I'm not getting in there. It's dark. We're likely to be eaten by a grue.
All right, in you go.
No.
Out of the way. Out of the way.
Step on my hair.
Are we stuck in here?
Who cares? We found it!
Oh boy. Found what?
The clone storage facility, obviously.
There are a lot of suspicious-looking packages all around us.
That's what mass-produced bulk quantity fast food ingredients look like.
Or is it what mass-produced bulk quantity clone parts look like? Huh? Huh?
This looks suspiciously like an arm.
That's an unsliced bologna from the sandwich shop.
What about this? This is definitely a head.
Sandwich shop again. That's a ham.
This is undeniably a brain.
Hamburger meat.
This is definitely a penis.
That's salami. And fuck, dude, go see a doctor.
I know they're storing the clones around here somewhere. We just have to look harder.
That's the spirit, Hope. Keep searching.
Oh, just come on. Oh, here it is.
You found a clone?
Nope, I found the booze.
None of the businesses in this food court serve alcohol.
Yeah, but working food service sucks. The employees always have a secret stash to help them relax and keep their customer service faces on. Looks like the crew from the smoothie place has peach schnapps. The ice cream shop employees have some Irish cream. And the sandwich artists have some 120 proof grain alcohol.
You gotta do what you gotta do to get through the day.
Yep, and discretion is key. These all blend really well into what they're already drinking out there, so no one is the wiser. Somebody find me some mixers. I'm making a cocktail.
I've got orange juice.
There appears to be coffee over here.
And I have found some of your strange American root beer.
Is it cube root or square root beer?
Woohoo! Looks like I'm making 3 cocktails.
While you do that, let's get back to the summary.
Sam, too, is starting to put the pieces together and wonders if they might both be clones. They talk about the little model town they've been making, and Sam 1 admits to not remembering making most of it. Truly, the key to this enigma was Scrimshaw all along. They talk about their wife Tess and daughter Eve before getting another message from Central, which tells the Sams that a rescue mission is coming to fix the broken rover. Sam 1 believes it's going to be his ride home. Sam 2 has some questions about how quickly he arrived on the base after Sam 1's accident. He's sure there must be more clones stored somewhere on the base, since it would be probably the cheapest and best solution for the corporation and its shareholders.
Gotta have the bottom line
corporations.
above all else.
Yeah, Daniel would tell us that if he was here.
Sorry we lost him, but it's all your fault.
Well, I didn't know that he would...
Onwards!
Going beyond me. During his search, Sam 2 insists on looking under the model town, which Sam 1 is obviously opposed to. You don't just mess around with another man's scrimshaw, after all. The two Sams get into a fight, and Sam 1 gets suspiciously more injured than you'd expect for the severity of the fight. Sam 1 finally starts coming around to the idea that something fishy might be going on. When he questions Gertie, the only answer he gets is, "I can only account for what happens on the base," and other sidestepping type answers. He's giving some very Hal vibes. Eventually something breaks and Gertie starts telling Sam 1 the truth. His memory of being in a minor crash on his way to the base 3 years ago was false. He was just being awoken and tested to make sure that he was a functioning clone. Everything he thinks he knows is just a bunch of implanted memories from the original Sam Bell. It's Blade Runner meets Office Space. In space! Sam 2 realizes that what he heard earlier was actually a live conversation between Gertie and Central. Both Sams decide to figure out how they are being blocked from contacting Earth. They take 2 rovers and head out further than they have ever gone before, where they find what the navigation in the rover deems Station 3 and Station 1. Both stations have large antenna/pylon type structures, which they think is what might be jamming the signal. Sam 1 starts vomiting blood into his helmet, but doesn't want to alarm Sam 2 and just says he's heading back to base because he isn't feeling well. This guy is clearly dying. Back at the base, he pukes some more and notices that his teeth are falling out into the toilet.
3 years might not be the contract length as much as the expiration date for each of these guys.
I mean,
Yeah, at this point, it's Blade Runner meets The Fly in space.
oh man. You know, there was an Italian astronaut that almost drowned during a spacewalk just because a little water leaked inside his suit and it was going across his face and his faceplate and stuck on his face, and he couldn't do anything about it.
There's no way to move it.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder about, like, vomiting blood in your helmet. I mean, you do a whole Mama Cass of asphyxiating on your own puke in space. Anyways.
From what we've seen, though, it looked like the rovers were pressurized inside. He doesn't have to wear his helmet inside the rover, so if he could get back on the rover pretty quickly, that probably solved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, any little thing kills you out there,
God,
man.
yeah.
Space wants you dead. Space
wants
does
you
not
dead.
like you.
No, it doesn't. Reminds me of someone I dated. Okay. He tries to log into his computer, but his password is no longer accepted. Maybe because he's not the newest Sam. Gertie, for some reason, logs him into something where he can suddenly access archival playback of log entries from all sorts of other Sams. Their final entries are each of them looking very ill and entering a sarcophagus-looking contraption that is supposed to put them into cryosleep for their 3-day journey back to Earth. But when the sarcophagus closes, there's a flash of light. Then the recordings end. Sam 1 goes to check out this contraption. He triggers it to close, watches the pre-recorded message from the Lunar Industries thanking him for his hard work, then stands back. There's that same flash of light, then nothing. That thing isn't taking anyone anywhere except perhaps the glorious halls of Valhalla, or Stovelkor, or the realm of whatever gods they believe in. He starts searching every inch of that room.
It seems like that's the only room he's never really spent much time in, because why would you, right?
Yeah, I mean, that thing's definitely a crematorium. Sam 2 returns and announces that he found 3 more of those jammers, which means they surround the base. Sam 1 is looking pretty rough, but makes his own announcement. He's found the secret area. It makes sense to put it in the going home room, since this is the part of the base he'd never be in. Both Sams go down the ladder into an immense corridor where they find rows and rows of drawers, each containing a Sam clone, complete with fresh accessories, like a warehouse full of Ken dolls. There are also walls full of the same meal containers that they get upstairs.
It's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Yeah. You notice...
Everything's underground.
You notice, and I like this, that they actually had the right amount of drawers. If you look at the little like red light next to each one that was open and used, there are exactly 5. And later on you find out well, actually there's 6. There's 6, the newest one being the newest Sam that just came out. So there's 6. But if you do the time, 3 times 5 is 15. And later on you find out, 15 years. So it's like, okay. I just like little things like that.
And well, we don't know that too, though, because like he said, they have to check to make sure he's a functioning clone.
Right.
There may have been some duds, they might have thrown out a couple slugs.
Oh my god, a dud clone. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, but
Just-
I mean, the map.
Gertie will just usher him into this is our healing sarcophagus. Hey, we're going to send you back to Earth for more tests.
Yeah.
Because she was supposed to be 3. Oh no, but I guess she was born while I was gone. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she's
15 years.
Well, I mean, yeah.
We haven't gotten to
It's
that
okay.
part
We
yet.
don't have to get the math exactly right. But yeah, it's close, yeah.
All right.
Oh my God. I found it. Look. Here's a whole clone.
Oh, that is suspiciously human body shaped.
Huh. It is.
I shall awaken it.
Here, poke it with this detached penis. I brought it along for poking purposes.
Again, it's a salami, and please put that down.
Here, hand me the penis.
To you.
It doesn't appear to be awakening.
I see no signs of movement at all.
I'm going to get a closer look.
At the penis?
Be careful. Sometimes clones can wake up cranky.
But
It's a dummy.
You don't know that.
Well, perhaps it's just not functioning at full capacity yet.
Look, not everyone can have a high IQ.
Not an idiot. A real dummy. That's Sensei Steve's dojo dummy.
What is it doing in this clone storage facility?
well, sometimes you can deodorize things by putting them in the fridge or the freezer. And that dummy was pretty stinky.
Fah! It's just a decoy to throw us off the real scent.
Oy. Let's just get back to the summary. Sam 1 nopes out of there and takes the rover out beyond the reach of the signal jammers. The rover finally changes from saying, searching for long-range comms, to signal reestablished. He brought a big-ass heavy-duty laptop and uses it to make a video call, which is answered by a teenage girl. He covers the camera, either so he doesn't spook anyone or because he looks a mess. She confirms that he's called the Bell residence, but when he asks to speak to his wife Tess, the girl lets him know that Tess died some years ago. It turns out this is his daughter Eve, but she's 15, not 3 like she was in the video that he watched just a few days ago. He starts to talk to her like you'd talk to a 3-year-old and asks about Mommy and how she died. Eve shouts for her dad, and we hear another Sam's voice in the background. Sam 1 quickly ends the call and has himself a little mental breakdown. Then he collects himself as much as he can and goes back to the base. Sam 2 puts Sam 1 down for a nap because he's looking about 90% dead at this point. Sam 2 pulls out the laptop and watches the log of Sam 1's call with the Bell residence, then has his own little breakdown. Everyone deserves one once in a while, just for a treat.
Man, this part was pretty heart-wrenching and creepy to me. I mean, when he's just like, how did Mommy die? And, realizing that everything he's seen was just pre-recorded messages. And I mean, it makes me think, did the original Sam Bell go up there and that's how they got all this? And the company just data mined his entire experience up there? And then when he went home, they just replayed everything? I mean, it does open up some questions.
Then again, if it really was poisoning from radiation, I don't think Sam 1, the original, would have lasted long back on Earth.
Yeah.
And maybe he would have only gone up for a little while. I don't know. And also, it's like, it's one thing to find out that something's wrong with you or something's different with you, but what he was living for, his goal, what was driving him was getting back home to these 2 people, to Tess and Eve. That was his goal. That's what he was living for. I mean, he's not living for this job. This is just a job. He's doing this for them and to get back.
And then
to find out that that's all a lie.
Then to realize that it looks like Sam did get back because of somebody in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looks like, yeah, Sam did return and has lived his life with his family, and the clones have just had no idea all along.
If he ever went to begin with, right?
It's really fucked up. It's really fucked up.
Even if he knew he was a clone, he thought he would go back and just slot back into this life. But knowing that the original is still there, there's no place for him to go back to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, knowing that they don't even know he exists. I mean, that's rough, too.
Well, he doesn't know whether or not they know he exists.
I mean, this is just
That's still a mystery.
This is the Cinemania part where it's like fucking...
We don't know how much the original Sam, I would call him Sam Not, Sam Zero. We don't know how much that Sam knows about any of this. We don't know if he knows he's been cloned. We don't know if he approved being cloned. And even if he did, we don't know if he knows what his clones are doing. He doesn't know if his clones know that they're clones. Like, we don't know any of this.
That's why I was saying, like, the whole data mining, you know, imagine him just doing there and, you know, everything he's doing is recorded and they just keep all that and had this insidious plan the entire fucking time. I mean,
just make a copy.
But it does show that clones are actually their own people because what they think of as their life is not really their life.
Well, you see in the recordings and stuff, too, of the various Sams keep on going into the cremation chamber. They all do look a little different. Like, one even has, like, the whole, like, mullet hair and just, like, a mutton stash, you know, mustache.
Yeah.
And they all look a little
One's
different.
got the castaway look. One's really clean shaven.
Yeah.
Different things happen to have each scenario play out differently.
Yeah, even within their structured script, there is enough variation that the clones seem to be individualized enough that they are their own people.
That's one of the things we'll have to think about if we ever do clone people. Are they their own people? Are they us? Will we clone them fully grown? Will we have to start as babies?
It's the island all
right,
over
this is
again. Yeah,
okay,
that's so season
back
1.
to the summary. Exactly. While all of this has been going on, the rescue team that was promised earlier is getting closer and closer. We even see a big countdown clock on the wall showing us how long until they arrive. Sam 1 originally thought he'd be going home with them, but he's definitely not thinking that anymore. Sam 2 is a bit clearer mentally and has hatched a plan. He convinces Gertie to awaken another clone, because the rescue team is going to be expecting a body in that busted-ass rover. He also decides that Sam 1 is going back to Earth. He's going in the cargo container that launches the H3 back to Earth. It's going to be a rough ride, but Sam 2 is surely certain that he should probably survive. Maybe.
At this point, he doesn't look like he'd survive a hearty sneeze, much less atmospheric re-entry.
Sam 2 claims he did the math, so Sam 1 trusts him and crawls his half-dead ass right into that cargo container. Then they rethink the order of operations and decide that since he's already mostly dead, Sam 1 should be the one going back to the busted rover, while Sam 2 mails himself back to Earth. The new clone, I guess we'll call him Sam 3, isn't conscious yet, so they don't have to worry about him. Ever the martyr, Gertie volunteers to be rebooted and have his memory erased to protect the Sams. Why that wasn't done after each clone, or at least to the logs that Sam 1 found earlier, is anyone's guess. At the last minute, Sam 2 runs out and frantically fiddles with one of the computers. You gotta have a little bit of suspense and last-minute action, right? He manages to change the path of one of the harvesters and hauls ass back into the cargo container just before the rescue team enters the base. Just before his dying breath, Sam watches the flare of Sam 2 being shot earthward in the cargo container, and we see a harvester plow over one of the interference stations. Inside the base, we see Sam 3 gain consciousness, and a monitor lets us know that live feed is now available. Sam 2 is hooting and hollering as he launches earthward. As we see the cargo container returning to Earth, we hear overlapping radio chatter about Sam 2. According to one of the radio broadcasts, he might actually be Sam 6, testifying to Congress. Lunar Industries' stock is declining, and there are a lot of disparaging remarks about Sam. What happens next is anyone's guess.
That was a very clever move.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like when they kind of leave it up in the air.
I mean, you could believe there's a happy ending, kind of. You could hold that hope in your heart, but let's face it, things are going to be more complicated now.
Yeah, everything's dark and horrible.
I just want to know if, now that he's on Earth, if he's going to live a full life, or if he's still going to expire in 3 years.
That's my question, too.
That I'm curious about, too. That's very curious. Apparently, if we watch Mute, we might learn a little bit about it, but I don't know.
More
I like
human
the
than
fact
human.
And
I just
what were you saying?
I just like the fact that he had the harvester knock over the interference
Tower.
tower. So
Antenna.
now they get all the communication.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to me, like, that's another part where the corporation cutting corners came back to bite them in the ass. Because, like, I'm sure they could have put a lot more. They've already had 4 or 5 clones at least, who haven't questioned anything, who haven't had an issue. They jump in their little sarcophagus to head home, and then, no more problem. They could have had the logs uploaded to Earth and erased off the base. They didn't have to be stored on the base. They could have had Gertie's memory wiped every time and start over, so that Gertie has no idea that this isn't something new. They could have done all that, but they didn't feel like they needed to, so they were trying to save a buck and time,
Yep.
Time is money. They're trying to save a buck by not doing it. And so their penny pinching asses got bit in the ass by their own penny pinching.
We can always hope.
Well, you also noticed that their rescue team, when they went into the rover where Sam 1 was, that guy had a gun. He wasn't playing.
Oh, they were ready to kill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether he was dead or not yet, he was going to be dead soon.
That was a hell of a film. You know what it reminded me of?
Alien?
Yes, how did you know?
Let's focus on what's most important. It's cold in here.
Let's really focus on what's more important. I think this door is jammed shut.
Let's actually focus on what's most important. There's no one out there to hear us calling for help. We're screwed.
Are you trying to say that we're stuck in a space? One in which no one can hear us scream? Uh-huh.
Enough with Alien!
No.
I'll think of something.
Good, that's good. Okay, go ahead.
Right.
Think harder. We're going to end up a bunch of cultsicles.
I'm working on it. It's hard to think on an empty stomach.
Yeah, do you want to munch on this long, girthy, detached...
Don't say it.
Salami.
You're a salami.
Ow!
Alright, so I know it was my pick, and those of us who pick aren't usually the first to give our judgment, but...
Oh, yes, of
I'm gonna do
course.
it
We'd
anyways,
like to have
yes.
the last word if we're the Inquisitor.
No. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want, and you know that. So, I first saw Moon at a San Francisco Film Festival on what may have been the world's longest date. I mean, if I'm remembering correctly, it involved a multi-hour drive to get there, at least 2 meals, and at least 3 full-length films. I mean, why I ended up marrying that guy is beyond me, but anyways, I knew nothing about the movie going into it. I mean, I only chose it because I knew that Duncan Jones was Zowie Bowie. And since I love all other things Bowie, I assumed I would love his son's projects as well. So I didn't really have any expectations going into the film. Like, I didn't look up anything about it. I didn't read a synopsis or anything. I just went into it blind. So finding out that he was a clone was a pretty cool little twist, when you haven't seen anything before. And I was pleasantly surprised. I really liked the film when I first saw it, but this isn't like the beautiful post-scarcity space communism far, far future of Star Trek where like humanity already has everything figured out and Earth is a utopia, and we look down on those poor little planets who haven't figured it out yet, and we're here to help them. This is like the gritty, messy, ethically ambiguous near future of things like Alien and Black Mirror. Like these things aren't technically possible yet, but they will be soon, and it's easy to imagine. All of this technology is only 1 or 2 steps away from what we do currently have. This is the future where capitalism rules, and we are slaves to the almighty dollar and the corporations that value their bottom line over our lives, or our duplicates' lives, or any lives, really. And, we might not have clones yet, but if we did right now, they would be commodities, and they would have a value, and they would, like a dollar amount attached to them, and they would be, not even commodities isn't even the word I'm looking for, like products almost, Yep. And we would argue over their humanity, their ownership, their autonomy, their value, And it's been a topic of a lot of media lately because I think people feel like we're getting closer and closer to it being a reality. So movies like The Island, which I know isn't that new, and then shows like Living with Yourself and Severance, they've explored issues surrounding clones or other types of duplicates and like how real are they? How individual are they? Do they have their own humanity? What's the word I'm looking for? Or how much autonomy and how much authority do we give them over themselves, or are they just property? Agency, that's the word I'm looking for. How much agency do they have? And how much agency do we give them? Do they just deserve it, or do we have to give it to them, you know? And then Black Mirror has also dealt with this kind of thing. And then they also have multiple episodes about how technology will save us all, but only if we can afford it, because profits are more important than people in the eyes of corporations, and they will fuck you over without batting an eye if it means more money in their pockets. I mean, this movie even looks like Alien.
Yeah.
It is. It's that same gritty, dark, near future that could potentially happen. This is, it takes a lot to imagine Star Trek happening. We've got a lot of steps between us and that. But we only have a couple steps between us and Alien or Moon or Severance. Mm-hmm. And they actually never specify a date anywhere in the movie. It was made in 2009. For all we know, it could be taking place in 2009. I mean, if the space race hadn't ended, or if we'd found a profitable commodity on the moon, this whole setup is completely doable, like right now, aside from the clones. But like, if we just took the time, we could put all this crap on the moon right now, pretty simply. There's a lot of logistics, but the technology exists. Like, I don't know if any of you have seen For All Mankind. It's like an alternative history, alternative future sort of show, where like, what if the space race hadn't ended and we kept investing in space stuff, and like when they get to the current time, they're on Mars already, because we could do it if we really wanted to. We really pushed ourselves. We could.
That's the alternate future one where the Soviets won the moon race, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but then the bigger part isn't just who won the moon race, but it's like that the space race kept going, that we kept investing in this stuff, and that we kept trying to be in space. And so, like, for making us like look at ourselves as a society and look and think about these ethical issues, that these are the kind of things that as a society we don't typically think about them until after they become an issue. This movie is 100% guilty. 100% guilty.
Oh, very much. It really sounds like you're finally coming around to the conclusion that Alien is the best movie in film history. And all of you who don't agree are wrong.
I will concede that it was a foundational and fundamental film that inspired many others after.
It was an important movie.
You're wrong, but it's okay. I like to think of Moon as an unlicensed sequel to Alien, or possibly prequel. Well, a quell at any rate.
Well, maybe it's happening concurrently. Like, this is what's happening close to Earth while Alien is happening a little further out.
Yeah, a periquel. There we go. We'll say a periquel. There's a lot of reasons that I see this, and the most obvious being that, as you mentioned, its depiction of cosmic exploitation by a soulless interplanetary corporation. Because if Alien taught us anything, it's that the only thing more deadly than flesh-scouring space mutants, deadlier even than the howling void itself, is capitalism. It transcends all laws and moral scruples and is without shame in its constant attempts to create classes of people seen as disposable, and then aggressively expands the boundaries of those classes because the sociopathic urge to make a buck trumps all, pun very much intended. So I'm glad you at least appreciate that.
So are we moving on to your judgment now, I assume?
Well,
judge away.
You made a good point about how it looks like Alien, and this is why I think of it as an unlicensed sequel to Alien, because you see other connections to what I think it's actually even called the Ridley-verse. Movies like Blade Runner and Alien are all tied together. Other connections to the Ridley-verse are all over Moon. In fact, Duncan Jones got the supervising model maker from Alien, Bill Pearson, to design the rovers and the harvesters.
Oh, wow.
No way.
Yeah. And those were actual models, not more digital slop. So
even the font on all of the labeling looked the same.
Yeah. And that's actually another key point, is because Tony Noble was the production designer for Moon, and he really very clearly cloned Ron Cobb's design of the USCSS Nostromo. copied it wholesale. And goes beyond just stuff like shape, flow, and color palette. This includes the semiotics. Oh, and if you don't know what semiotics are, okay, so you know the little signs with generic human stick figures like you see on bathroom doors, or the ones that you see slipping on wet floors or getting mangled in machinery.
Symbols that communicate for you.
That's right. They're symbols that communicate complex ideas clearly without the barrier of language. Those are semiotics. And Moon, just like Alien, has a background chock full of semiotics on the airlocks and the bulkheads and the consoles, all the signs and symbols that are actually, and they're almost, but not quite, an exact duplicate of Ron Cobb's very unique and groundbreaking work to create the corporate hellscape and space look that felt so natural and realistic that we've forgotten that it was art design in the first place, and we've just come to accept that this is how the future looks. Actually, Duncan Jones almost copped to that entirely in an interview after Moon's release when he said he, quote, wanted to create something which felt comfortable within that canon of those science fiction films from the sort of late 70s to early 80s, end quote. Right. Other interviews, he specifically name-checked both Alien and Silent Running as a film he wanted to emulate. So glad you brought up Silent Running.
Wait, just like Silent Running, it has a very similar visual where it's mostly, like 90% of the movie is one person in one setting.
Yeah.
So you can really focus in on details because the big picture is constant, you know, and you've got all these little details, but like you're only in one space, one mining base, you know, so you can look at all the little details because you're not going to, you know, a bunch of different locations. You know, never follow someone to a second location, right?
It's almost like people listen to Rocket Man on repeat.
And Gertie's ubiquitous robotic arm is very Silent Running.
In movies like this, the whole setting actually becomes a character into itself. So putting in all of that, you know, art department work is very important to tell the story because you have the story of, you know, down to the writing on his walls. There's those long shots just establishing, just to show how long he's there, and all the coffee stains on Gertie, and just, you know, the moon base itself is very much a character and a device for telling this story.
Oh, yeah.
And you see later that Gertie didn't fully have enough time to reset everything before Sam 2 woke up because Sam 1 came back. You know, normally he would have been in the infirmary for a couple weeks, and Gertie could cover up all those little hash marks he made on the bathroom wall, and you could see they were kind of half painted over. You can find them. So like those little bits. The
scrubbed off, but you could still see the
part of it.
Yeah. Well, however similar Moon might be to Alien, it is just different enough to have its own individuality. So kind of like the way Sam Rockwell's performance is Sam Bell 1, Sam Bell 2, and Sam Bell 3. Like they're all very similar, but they're not identical. And this movie's the same way, and I doubt that was accidental. Especially given Moon's story of soulless capitalism in space. And I love Duncan Jones having made that choice. But you brought up Gertie, Andy. So like why something as big and clunky as Gertie and not a artificial person? And I think with that choice, Jones might be suggesting that every transplanetary corporation cuts corners just a little bit differently. On a related note, I want to say I absolutely love that they chose to cast Matt Berry and Benedict Wong as the said corner-cutting corporate middle manager douchebags running that turd circus.
Were they even known in 2009?
They were known as comedy actors on TV.
Yeah, I'm hard-pressed to find any feature film having cast either of those guys before this.
They'd been in like the IT crowd on TV and things like that.
Or Snuff Box, but you know, nothing like as higher profile as this. So like, you know, Moon is basically like Alien meets The Truman Show. And speaking of TV shows, did you know Moon recycled sets from a failed feature film adaptation of Red Dwarf?
Huh. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if Sam Bell clones were calling one another Smeghead?
Oh, God.
Okay, so you mentioned, we were talking about like how they cast Matt Berry and Benedict Wong. This was like maybe their first feature film casting ever. I don't know for sure, but pretty sure this is one of the first, if not the first casting for at least Matt Berry. And the thing that knocks me over about this is Moon was made in 2009 for $5 million. right? That is the same budget that Shaun of the Dead had when they took a bunch of other British TV actors and catapulted them into the feature film landscape. $5 million is firmly in the low-budget independent film category, and I was personally crewing on films around that time and on ones that had more than double that budget, and despite the best efforts of the tradespeople, those movies just simply could not do what this film did. You know, at $5 million, it isn't quite as extreme in its penny pinching as, say, like Cube was, if you guys remember that 1999 film, Canadian indie film. It didn't take place entirely in one set, but it came really close. And it really was Sam Rockwell's performance that tied the whole room together, man.
I was about to ask, how much did Sam Rockwell give for that? Because if this was just a $5 million budget film, I mean, if he wanted to, I mean, most of that budget could have been just to get him.
I don't think so. I mean,
I don't think
Rockwell,
he wasn't that big yet.
He'd been in some stuff. I mean, he had been in Galaxy Quest. He'd been in Hitchhiker's Guide. You know, he was a known quantity, and he could
Charlie's
command.
Angels.
But, you know, a lot of actors like him, they take relatively little.
Yeah.
He's a known quantity, but he wasn't A-list or anything like that.
No.
He's not that big. He's good.
Close.
He's not, you know.
Right.
He was getting close.
Yeah.
But
he's not royalty, but he's like a duke or an earl.
Yeah, even A-listers will go on low-budget projects like this if they believe in the script enough. And clearly he's one of those actors.
That's what I was wondering.
We've talked about this in the past, how budget restrictions can kind of help a film almost. You know, it kind of
very much
forces them to be a little more creative, and
very much.
We see that in this.
Yeah,
I think unless it wasn't just like that's all the money he get, maybe that's all the money he needed. That's what I would like to believe.
It came pretty close to doubling its money. Like, it made $9.8 million in global box office sales, which, you know, it's not a financial smash like Shaun of the Dead was, but it's still enough, depending on the waterfall, that maybe its investors got paid back at least. But really more than anything, I mean, it was successful in the sense that it made its night. The thing that really caused it to do well, though, wasn't even so much its financial success, but its critical success. Like, it got nominated for a bunch of awards, it won a bunch of awards, including a BAFTA and a Hugo Award, and was celebrated by scientists at NASA, was screened at the Houston Space Center, NASA's Houston Space Center. It's considered by the scientific publication Trends in Cognitive Sciences to be the best brain science movie of all time. And I think all of that is something that gave Duncan Jones enough of a boost in reputation that other people would take a chance on him as a film director, and he could begin to step out of his father's shadow a little.
I agree.
Was this his first film?
I don't think.
Or his first big film?
I think it was at least his first big feature. He may have done other things prior to this, but I think this is the thing that put him on the map. So for that, and for the danger that Moon clearly poses to scientific thought, all of that is more than enough for me to judge this film exceedingly guilty.
All right.
Who else wishes to pass judgment?
I'll go next then. I remember when this film came out. Remember 2009, the Marvel Cinematic Universe was just about kicking into position. Iron Man had come out. It was very much the era where it was known that big, flashy CGI effects were going to be the thing. They had arrived, they had been effectively perfected. That's going to be what we're having in movies from now on, we thought. It's all going to be flashy, expensive Hollywood productions. And then Moon came out, and it has these model shots. And certainly to a British person, everyone immediately said, that's just like Thunderbirds. We all remember from our childhoods. And remember, Thunderbirds was a 1960s TV series with really impressive model work for the time that still looks great. A lot of the work that was done on this TV show went on to become the work that would become Star Wars and the sort of Dykstra effects and stuff like that. And it got repeated over and over again. So every generation since the 60s had grown up with it. So to the British, we saw that and we're like, oh my God, amidst all of this Hollywood spectacle, somebody's using models. And this was supposed to be a thing that was no longer going to be in cinema anymore. And that immediately made people take a bit more attention to it, certainly in Britain. And when you found out that it was directed by the son of David Bowie, well, obviously British people again said this is significant. we need to have a look at this. And so I remembered watching it, and I loved it at the time. And it seemed a lot more futuristic and less plausible then than it does now. Even less than 20 years later, we're very close to being where Moon is. And this is very much a film that could be, in future times, a documentary of what somebody's doing. There is helium-3 on the moon. It is a very useful substance that we possibly are going to have to go up there and get sometime. Who knows?
Yeah, how else am I supposed to be able to talk like this all the time?
And it's, as I don't need to explain to you, it's a primordial element that's formed by the bombardment of lithium by naturally occurring neutrons. It's likely to exist
You
in
don't
large
need to,
amounts
but
in
you're
the
going to anyways.
lunar regolith. So yeah,
yes.
we'll be doing this kind of thing at some point, and Moon shows us how. And once again, we have a science fiction movie whose whole premise is, do not do things this way. This is not how you should be setting up a lunar process. You shouldn't be treating people this way. You shouldn't be using machines, people, processes any way like this. It's a warning. This film is saying, do not do this. This isn't a good way of exploiting the moon. And of course, there are people watching
Elon,
this.
cough.
There are definitely going to be people watching this thinking, hey, we could build that, we could do that, and they're going to end up doing something like this. This
It
film,
needs a big red warning at the end that says, this is not an instruction manual.
this film, while charming in its time, is going to more and more be first a deadly warning and then a lamentable case of, we warned you, why did you do exactly that? And for that reason, I have no choice but to judge it absolutely guilty.
One question. So you're saying Thunderbirds are go?
Thunderbirds are gone, went, come back again. They have been the most popular thing on TV for about 3 or 4 different generations by now.
You know, I never put together the Star Wars model making, which Star Wars, that part was made in England, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, the model making stuff was made in Santa Clarita. If you want to know more about that, you can. There's actually a really excellent series on Disney Plus called Light and Magic, where they dive into the deep history. It's a docu-series that dives into the deep history of industrial light and magic and all the effects dudes who are really into doing that. In fact, it was. I had a really funny experience where I ran into a guy. I took my dad out to lunch, and we ran into a guy who had been 15 years old and recruited to help the model makers when they first started out. We were just chatting with this guy at lunch. It was really funny.
So, is there a connection between anybody who worked on Thunderbirds who worked on Star Wars?
Well, a lot of the techniques that were used at the time went on to become the cutting edge model filming techniques that later became. Because a lot of the Star Wars guys then went back to England and worked on Space 1999, which was very Star Warsy. Everything feeds into everything else and goes back and forth and back and forth.
Battlestar Galactica became a thing too.
Yeah. Those were going on concurrently. In fact, the look of the Eagle 1, I think is what it was called, in Space 1999. When that came out, George Lucas had actually come up with the idea. The Millennium Falcon was supposed to look like it
was a design that they'd cast away that they weren't going to use, and then somebody ended up.
They were actually in the process of building the model at the time when Space 1999 came out, and the interior sets and stuff like that were supposed to have been used. And while they were in pre-production on this, with these production designs that had been sorted out, Space 1999 came out completely independently. And George Lucas was like, I don't want people to think that I'm ripping off this show. We're going to change the look of the Millennium Falcon around. We'll reuse these sets for the interior, the blockade runner, for these scenes that we're shooting, and then we'll retool the model to be this is Princess Leia's ship. So there may have been some flow back and forth, but at the time, at least according to the Light and Magic docuseries, Lucas was like, oh, actually, I don't want people to think I copied you.
Right. Well, none of this, exists within a complete bubble unto itself. There's always ebb and flow.
And yeah, for a moment there in 2009, we thought, hey, maybe models are going to make a comeback. Maybe we're not going to go down the route of everything being computer generated. And, well, we all know what came next.
Talking about model making reminds me of a story I heard. So after the original Star Wars was shot, all the models and stuff were just got rid of because nobody thought it was going to be a huge cult success like it was. So the original Death Star was sold, and it was just sitting in someone's garage for a while, and then they had, I can't remember exactly the reason why it was gotten rid of in a garage sale, but the guy who bought it was this guy who ran a local fast food restaurant that was space themed, and he bought the Star Wars Death Star model. And the thing is, the Death Star model didn't have the shield anymore, or the laser. It just had a big hole in it. So he used it as a trash can. He used it as a trash can for a long time. And when that restaurant closed and they were getting rid of stuff, some people saw it, recognized it for what it was, and bought it. And eventually they sold it back to Lucas. And that is the only reason why the original model for the Death Star still exists.
And it was filled with restaurant trash?
It was filled with restaurant trash for quite a while.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's funny. There's all kinds of stories about stuff like the big model they used in Waterworld for the Valdez got turned into a stage at Wasteland Weekend for a while.
Oh yeah, a lot of those great big models, props and stuff like that that they built end up just kind of, ending up in private hands, or like anyway. Yeah.
Mystery Men, the Herkimer battle jitney. It was rotting on a lot for a long time until someone found it and gave it all the love that it needed, and now it's doing parades.
Yeah.
But I digress. You mind if I do my judgment now?
No, go ahead.
All right. Okay.
Made us Hope show. She's Pontifex.
Oh, I don't give a fuck what you all do.
Right. Okay. That being said, I loved this movie the first time I saw it. And I just happened to recently listen to an audiobook by, what's his name, Andy Weir? Yeah, Andy Weir, the same guy who did The Martian, which was turned into that movie with Matt Damon. But he's really good with hard science fiction. He tries to get the science as close as he can. And he wrote this book, Artemis, and Artemis is a lunar colony, and he talks about all the trials and tribulations of living on the moon. And watching the movie Moon was a great companion piece for this, especially watching it again after I had listened to Artemis, because one of the things the two have is the mining of helium on the moon. They didn't call it helium-3, but as interesting as like helium-3 being an energy source, they still talked about in this book mining helium from the rocks. Also mining aluminum and oxygen. There's a big part in the book where they actually talk about getting their oxygen supply as a byproduct from the aluminum industry on the moon.
That's actually why they screened it at NASA's Houston Space Center. Moon, it's the first piece of science fiction, film or otherwise, up to that point that talked about mining helium-3 on the moon. So, Artemis was, I read the same book. That book came out after Moon, so I'm not surprised that they incorporated that.
Actually, yeah, that puts some things into context, because I was noticing some similarities of it. One thing that I was disappointed that they didn't bring up on Moon is the problem with lunar dust. living up there, especially the scenes where Sam is coming in and out of the rover. I felt like he would be covered in lunar dust, and lunar dust is a huge problem because there's no atmosphere smoothing it down. It's basically like asbestos on steroids. It's like breathing in razor blades. It fucks your lungs up, and it's also very dry, so it just clings to everything. So at least in Artemis, they talk about how they have these really intense decontamination protocols from anyone going out on the lunar surface and coming back, because they do not want this dust getting into where everybody just lives, because it will fuck you up.
I think that's a matter of like what details they include and what details they don't, probably. Every show has to decide, are we going to show how they go to the bathroom, how they shower? Are these details important to us? So, I mean, maybe it is something that would be dealt with, but maybe it's just so mundane they left it out.
I think it may have gotten rolled into the whole general thing with Sam Bell's clones wearing out. You know, like they show him having some serious health problems, you know, not just from radiation, but all of the other exposures that he has. And probably didn't go into detail, but that is the thing that people have known about since the first moon landings in 1969.
Yeah, I bet. The other thing, bringing that up, talking about radiation and radiation shielding, it made me think that maybe the reason that the company decided to go with clones was because they were cutting back on things like radiation shield, and maybe the clones didn't have a 3-year shelf life because they just automatically died, like in Blade Runner, where they had a set end date. But maybe it was just the exposure from the dust and the radiation that they realized that this is about as long as a clone can live up there in the facilities that they designed, and that's the reason why they decided to go with clones instead of people, because they didn't want to have actual contractors up there dying from radiation exposure and moon dust and stuff. So they just decided, we'll go with disposable clones and nobody will miss them, and we can treat them as inhumanely as we want.
Yeah,
I see no reason it couldn't be both. They could cut corners and have cheap-ass clones who were going to die early, and then let them die even earlier from all of this exposure.
Well, you know, the funny thing was that there was a spiritual sequel to this movie, and they had Sam Bell featured in basically talking with a number of his clones in the middle of a lawsuit against the company. It was just a throwaway cameo with Sam Rockwell as Sam Bell. And the idea being that, like, hey, you created a disposable class of people who thought they wouldn't be able to sue the corporation for treating them like, you know, for exposing them to these things. You know, like you knew if you hired a contractor, sent them up there and they came back sick, then they would sue your pants off. But now you have somebody who's a clone of somebody that you can then dispose of, and you don't get sued. And now he's returned to Earth, and first you try to castigate him as an illegal alien, right? Because that's the last thing you hear when we roll the credits is that, I don't care what, you know, how you despise it. He's an illegal alien, right? Okay. That says an awful lot about disposable classes of people, and that Duncan Jones was thinking of that. I'm sorry.
And that's what they're talking about in Severance, too. Like, the severed personalities, are they disposable? Are they, you know? Mute. And it's Mute. It's another one by Duncan Jones.
Oh, I'm going to have to check that out.
I think it's on Netflix right now, or Amazon.
It does give me good hope that Sam 2 is going to actually have a life, you know, a longer life. But the only other thing that I could complain about, and this is actually a biggie, is the gravity issues on the moon, because he's seeing Earth gravity, and Earth gravity just does not happen on the moon. You have lunar gravity, and, you know, so for not getting the science right, I am going to judge this movie guilty. Although, admittedly, it is the closest we've got to hard science fiction on the moon so far in a movie.
Nonetheless, still guilty.
Still guilty. Still guilty.
Of course. And Professor Andrea, you've been quiet up till now. Do you have feelings?
I've been thinking about this movie, but not from the science angles, more from the psychological perspective, about interacting with yourself.
Oh, no.
Because we start off with the original, or Clone 1, of Sam Rockwell's character, and he's really lonely. He's not doing well. not just physically, but mentally. He talks to himself a lot. He's really desperate for any kind of news. And then he has this accident, and later we find out that he is not alone on this moon. In a lot of stories about clones, you'll find people like try to kill their other self, right? And there is a bit of a scuffle, but his interaction with his clone is really interesting and different because he's so lonely. Even though an average person would be really freaked out by this, he just wants to connect. At one point, he asks if it's okay if they just touch hands. It's just like really touching and sad.
He's so desperate for any human contact. He does not care who or what it is. And I think in that handshake scene, he just wanted to confirm that he wasn't just hallucinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also really loved how he portrayed 3 different ages of characters. How the oldest of the 3 clones, the one who had been around the longest, was starting to act like a cranky old man, and they puts him into the thing to try to return him to Earth, and he's just like, man. I really loved how he's got, Sam the younger, Sam the present, Sam the elder. It's that crack. I love that.
And remember, it's a very low-budget film, so anytime you have Sam Rockwell interacting with himself would actually be really difficult to film, and so they kind of avoid that. You can tell that anytime they're almost about to touch, they sort of cut away because it would be super difficult to film.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into the second point, which is Sam 2, the second clone. You would think that you would be super intrigued if you found out there was a clone of you, but he's actually super distant, and doesn't even seem freaked out by it. He's just like, stay out of my business. Leave me alone.
I think he's pissed off more than anything.
or that.
He's angry.
He's like, what the fuck? Get out of my face.
I got the impression
I was told I would be the only one here, and I wanted my fucking alone time.
I got the impression that he had figured it out pretty much straight away about cloning, and he was already going through the mental torment of, oh my god, this is a really bad situation.
So it's going through the 5 phases right there.
His interaction with himself is super intriguing. And even though they do scuffle, almost immediately after, he feels kind of bad. He's like, did I hurt you? There's not that existential desire to snuff out an imposter. They're actually understand each other. They both admit they have anger management issues. He actually, Clone 2, tries to help Sam 1 when he's got some definite problems physically, coughing up blood, not able to walk well. It's kind of nice to because a lot of people aren't nice to their own selves. So to be nice to another version of you is kind of refreshing.
Yeah. No, that's actually a really good point. It starts off, we go through that whole transition of self-loathing to self-acceptance, and even self-love. That, that is a wonderful psychological transition there, and I think that may be why the Journal of Brain Science is yay, we love this movie. Very brief diversion. I want to check out one thing, which I want to shout out. Clint Mansell did the soundtrack, and he's the guy who did Darren Aronofsky's Pi, if anybody remembers that film.
Yeah.
But this, he's an absolute fantastic musician. He did the soundtrack. Sorry, go on.
Coming back to my point about how this is the near future and things that could potentially happen, this is what they're looking at right now as far as space travel and space exploration, the psychological effects. We could send someone to Mars right now with the technology we have, but it's going to take months. They're going to be alone, or at least in a very small group. And so that's what they're testing right now. Are we going to go insane? Physically, we can handle this. Physically, we know how to do the radiation shielding and things like that. It's hard, but we can do it. But mentally and psychologically, can we handle this? Can humans handle this? Can we find the humans that will handle this? And it's kind of telling that they're mostly looking at women for these long journeys.
Yep.
Women who,
are more emotionally stable.
Our hormones
than men.
don't change every 24 hours. We are a little more steady, despite, the stereotypes. We are less likely to kill each other.
So anyway, the movie was really fascinating, but I was saddened because I think it gives us false hope that if we ever had clones, that it could end up this good. So for that reason, I must judge this movie guilty.
Is it unanimous then?
Well,
We still don't know what Daniel would judge,
When is
but
it
we'll
not?
see.
Whoa, Daniel, where have you been?
I have no idea, but I've got my judgment locked and loaded.
How, though? You missed the whole adventure and the summary.
You know, I don't know where I was. I was trapped. Trapped in a world of bathroom accoutrements and general home supply.
And beauty supplies.
Also somehow beyond those things.
But you saw what was going on?
That's how liminal spaces work, motherfucker. I had a strange sense of what was happening. Like looking in through a frosted window, trapped, yet present. There, yet here. Here, yet not here? Because I was actually there all along.
Kind of like that whole incident with the mallard.
Yes, but we don't discuss the mallard, do we?
I know. We never do.
I remember people talking about the moon and walking through strange, unknown corridors, and Andy was waving a penis around.
Ah! You see?
Okay, that's weird. And it's a salami, but whatever, go for it.
Thank you. So, like, this movie was fucking dark. Like, even after I finished watching it, the more I think about it, the more upset it makes me. But, like, in a good way, not in like a Star Trek 2 Into Darkness sort of way, where I just kind of just kept getting more and more mad after I left the theater. I'm like, that was such shit. But, like, this one, like, even the way that they do, showing you the way they incinerate the clones, like, the door doesn't even completely shut. It's just, boom, done, gone, dead. Like, the poor clone is still trying to, like, get comfortable in his little pod. Like, you can see him wiggling around. He's still looking for, like, the lumbar support, which admittedly there is none because that also got cut from the budget, right? Along with the toilet seats and any other kind of self-care besides a fucking Floby. Like,
They are 100% commodities.
They gave no fucks. Zero fucks spent.
So, now, this was, also on top of that, I admit I had a little bit of a weird experience watching this movie because I had never actually seen it before. I watched it for this Conclave. Weirdly. Because it's the sort of movie I definitely would have watched at the time. And also, I thought I had seen it. But what I was thinking of was Pandorum, which came out around the same time, and definitely did not have the same plot, but there were substantial tonal similarities and thematic similarities. So, like, I kept going through this being like, okay, wait, so when are we going to discover that he's hallucinating? I'm expecting more extreme paranoia. This is way more, not feel good, but at least feelsy. Like, these are just normal people, right? Which, like, I think Andy already called it, right? Like, Sam Rockwell is who you get when you want, like, an Owen Wilson effect, but you actually want it to be good, right? Like, I realized that with this film. Like, Sam Rockwell is actually just the much better version of Owen Wilson in a weird way.
He even had, like, Owen Wilson cadence in some of his lines.
Well, but it got me thinking, he actually has that, that's how he is in most movies. Like, if he's doing, like, sort of the stuff that he's, like, his sweet spot as an actor, Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell as an actor, his main character area is where Owen Wilson lives. It's just way better, like, way better. But in any case, since we have to judge this film, and, for Cinemania, I have to say, not just because of my experience with the film, right, where I was like, I thought I'd seen this before, but I hadn't, right? I think that this movie really, really gaslights the audience, like any audience. First of all, right, this is an inhuman situation in so many different ways, right? In terms of the environment, right? It's the moon. It's about as inhospitable to humanity as you can, and life as you can imagine, right? The literal weirdness of like facing yourself constantly, the accelerated mortality, but of course, most of all, the inhumanity of what Lunar Corporation is doing to these people, right? And it's such a human movie.
But it doesn't see them as people. That's the main point. They're clones. They're not
I totally get the point.
In their
I totally
eyes.
get I understand the message that the movie is trying to do, but they are humanizing such an inhuman situation. I mean, that is just gaslighting the audience. Now, I mean, especially when, if you think about this is the next thing I think is a really crucial aspect of the gaslighting here. Like, we're led to believe, especially once we discover that the original Sam Rockwell, right, is down there somewhere on Earth with his family, and his wife passed away, and he never actually even came up to the moon, but he let Lunar Corporation...
We don't know that, actually.
Yeah, no, you hear it in the background.
We don't know if he even knows that he's been cloned. Well, we know he's down on Earth. We don't know if he knows he's been cloned. We don't know if he was ever an employee of Lunar. We don't know any of this.
Actually, it is revealed in Mute at the very end in the tag that he was vaguely aware of what they were doing. He claims he didn't fully understand the implications and everything that they were going to be doing, but whatever. But regardless,
got it. Cool.
This movie is trying to suggest to us, between this and then the Mute tag, and also there's a comic book which I read, which is even further delves into it as like the third part of the trilogy. We're led to believe that security officer Guy, right, from the NSEA Protector, would ever let a corporation clone him for such awful purposes. I mean, that's just not right. Like, he would never let that happen.
He just became the quintessential red shirt, the ultimate red shirt that you can just like, I don't know. It's getting more into like
the ultimate disposable guy.
Through Galaxy Quest, he's lamenting his role as a red shirt, like, and how unfair it is, and how terrified he is of it, and then he's willing to let them make more red shirts, knowing what they're gonna go through. I'll say it again. That's just not right.
Relax, man. Do you have a name?
Lastly, hang on. We got one more massive gaslighting going on here.
Okay.
We are led to believe that robot Kevin Spacey, ultimately, everything he's doing is because he cares about these people, and no matter what, he'll do anything to protect them. Please. All right, we know that that's not the case.
That was a very, very, like, Deus Ex Machina sort of moment. Like, there was zero reason for him to turn around and suddenly be helpful.
Think of all the ways that at first, right, the movie's trying to teach us a very valuable lesson about both AI and Kevin Spacey, that they are not to be trusted, right? We know that robot Kevin Spacey is a lying liar from the beginning, all the way through. Like, you can even see it in the beginning, right? You can see the signs of robot Kevin Spacey, where it's like, he's trying to, the clone is trying to fix a thing, and then the arm comes in and like basically non-consensually bashes him on the shoulder, right? And he's like, what the fuck, what are you doing? Oh, I was just trying to help you. Sure. And so like later in the movie, where he's like, okay, just tell me the truth. Am I a clone, right? And then robot Kevin Spacey is like, yes, I'm sorry, you're a clone. I was constantly sitting there screaming. It's like, no, it's a lying liar robot. You're not a clone. I fully believe that the point in that moment that the movie was trying to make was he's not a clone, because we cannot trust anything robot Kevin Spacey says.
But actually, the robot didn't say you're a clone ever. He said, who am I? He says, you're Sam Bell. Who's that guy? He's Sam Bell. So
No. Later in the movie, when it's just really like three-year-old Sam 1. Right.
Sam 1.
And he's like, and he's really out of it. He's starting to die. He's in a corner against like a bulkhead. He's talking to the robot. He's like, give it to me straight. And the robot does say, yeah, you're a clone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he reminds him
afterwards,
he says, do you remember you getting in a small accident on your way here? You weren't really in an accident. You were being awoken from storage.
Yeah, it explains the whole situation to him. And at first I'm like, no, the point that the movie's trying to make here is that's a lie. So he isn't the clone, because you can't trust the robot. But then later it's like, no, this was the robot telling the truth. And that's gaslighting the audience to ever suggest that robot Kevin Spacey will ever tell the truth or ever try to take care of you. I am convinced to this day But to this moment, the robot arm that helped him key in the password, now Kevin Spacey robot later on lies and gaslights him that that was it trying to help. But I am convinced that was a different sentient AI helping him. And I'll tell you how we know this. That robot arm, as it's reaching past him to type in the password on the keyboard, doesn't touch him without asking. Not robot Kevin Spacey. Okay. And therefore, for all of the gaslighting, by trying to convince us that robot Kevin Spacey has our best interests at heart, that it is making us feel for such an inhuman situation, and the notion that Security Officer Guy from the NSEA Protector would ever allow something so unethical to be done with his DNA, I find this film guilty of Cinemania.
Interesting. And fun fact, gaslighting actually doesn't mean what you think it does. You're crazy, and you were wrong all along.
So this was the last thing. Actually, this is
Andy,
even
give me that salami.
This is taking it even a step further. How can Kevin Spacey robot gaslight anyone? We clearly see it gaslighting all of the Sams for a while. But it's fully electric.
Well,
how is it gaslighting?
The Gertie Kevin Spacey consciousness is kind of throughout the whole base, but maybe there's different ones. Maybe there's like a kitchen Gertie and a living room Gertie and a control room Gertie, and they're acting independently,
like
the arms of an octopus.
None of them are gas powered.
Oh, fine. Well, you don't know. The helium-3 is a gas. I bet that's what they're running on.
No. They're not going to spend that on the station. They're going to send that home.
Yeah, they are. No, because it's the cheapest thing to use. That's why they're using it.
Didn't you see all the solar panels? They run it off solar energy.
Oh, they probably have both.
Well, they probably run it off of hydrogen-3. But what you're saying is that there's one AI which they replicated or cloned throughout the station into different devices.
No. No, get out of the rabbit hole. Out. Everyone, out of the rabbit holes.
Ooh, I'm getting cold. How are we getting out of here then?
We can't. The door is jammed.
Lone Star!
I guess this is where we end. Trapped in a freezing tomb for all eternity. At least we finished our conclave on Moon, though. There's a lesson in all of this.
Yeah, right. We, really learned an important lesson this time.
Really? What lesson?
Okay, you got me. I don't get it.
Look, it's a simple story. Boy meets no one, boy misses girls, clone meets boy, boy fights clone, clones finds evidence of creepy corporate malfeasance, clones unite to fight moon madness, Kevin Spacey is there, it's just the usual sort of thing you always see.
Indeed, have we not heard it all so many times before? So trite.
So that's it then? We're trapped? Trapped without any hope of escape? Never to find a way out? Abandon all hope of... Oh.
Are you kidding me?
Hello, friends. What are you doing in the refrigeration unit? You should be careful. The door sticks sometimes.
Never go into any windowless rooms. That's what I always say. You always got to know what your window situation is.
Egad, the clonusses! I can't believe how embarrassing it is to be saved by our own nemesis.
That's nemesis. If you're going to hurl invective, hurl true.
Oh, you folks can each say it in your own way. I won't word police you. Language is flexible.
Whatever. A save is a save. Out of the way, clone boy.
Excuse me. Ouch. Why did you call us clones, by the way?
You guys aren't clones?
Oh, no.
Perfect. Well, scratch that theory off the list then. I'm done with theories. Someone else come up with an explanation next time.
Well, all I've learned from this whole bloody thing is don't walk into a fridge, and if you do, you better have a
still
salami
don't trust them,
with you.
clone.
Andy, you're the one who shoved us into the goddamn fridge to begin with.
I thought it was something else entirely. I can't be held responsible for that kind of thing.
Grue theory. It just disproves there weren't any Grues in
Holding
there.
responsible and leave the salami behind.
Hey, you put down a salami, man. You know I'm picking it up.
Your mom's a salami.
Man, those funny little dudes and their adventures, man.
Do you think we should reveal to them why we're really here?
Why haven't we told them?
Oh, honey, they haven't asked. The Cinemania Society was written, produced, and performed by Hope Bravo, Andrea Palladino, Zachariah Burks, Ethan Ireland, Andy Slack, and Daniel Scribner. Editing and sound design by Ethan Ireland. Music by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Incidental music and sound effects courtesy of Epidemic Sound. The Cinemania Society is a work of fiction. Unless otherwise indicated, all the names, characters, businesses, places, events, and incidents appearing in this audio play are either the product of the author's imagination or are used in a fictitious manner. Any resemblance to actual persons living, dead, or actual events is purely coincidental and/or part of a work of parody that should not be construed as making statements or allegations of actual fact. All celebrity voices are impersonated unless otherwise stated. The Cinemania Society is available on social media. You can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, or Blue Sky, and our Reddit feed on r/The Cinemania Society, or just email us at thecinemaniasociety.gmail.com. You, yes, you listening right now, please take a second to drop us a line, because not only are we dying for an excuse to do a listener mail episode, we genuinely love to hear from you.